There comes a time when silence becomes too heavy for the soul, when even the wind carries whispers of rebellion, when eyes meet in the marketplace, and though no words are spoken, everyone knows. Something must give. The old generation remembers when hope had a name. The new one has never seen it. They were born under one flag, one anthem, one president. They grew up watching his face on the wall, the same face that watched their parents, and their parents' parents before them. It became normal. Normal to have no change. Normal to be ruled by history. Normal to be told to wait. To be patient. To be quiet. But a seed cannot remain silent forever. The youth began to talk in codes. Music became their manifesto. Art became their protest. And laughter became their camouflage. They created movements that never called themselves revolutions. Because in Cameroon, even the word change can get you in trouble. And yet change was brewing. Not on the streets, but in the hearts. Because you can chain a body, but never a mind that's awake. A girl in Douala spoke on her podcast, her voice trembling but firm. We are tired of living like ghosts in our own country. It spread like wildfire. Copied, shared, re-recorded, translated into silence and courage. Because courage in Cameroon is not about shouting. It's about breathing when they want you to stop. The government responded the only way it knew how. With strength, not sense. Arrests, curfews, and cameras everywhere. But what they didn't understand was this. Every act of oppression only reminds the people how strong they are. They thought fear could last forever. But fear ages too. It grows tired. It makes mistakes. It forgets how to disguise itself. And Biya, the man who refused to leave, became a symbol of both power and pity. A man trapped in the image they created. A leader turned legend, then turned prisoner of his own myth. He sits at the center of a web spun by those who need him there. Because without him, the mask falls off. Without him, the illusion breaks. So they keep him alive, not just in body, but in title. Because as long as his name exists, the system breathes. And the system cannot afford to die. Some call it a curse. Others call it karma. But history calls it the cycle of silence. Still, the youth are watching. From phones, from classrooms, from exile. They're learning. They're organizing quietly. They're not waiting for permission anymore. Because they've realized freedom is not granted, it's taken. And slowly, the old walls are trembling. Cracks widening. Whispers turning into plans. Dreams turning into fire. Because once people taste awareness, control becomes impossible. One day, maybe soon, the story of Cameroon will change tone. The old flag will wave for new reasons. The people will speak, not whisper. And the world will finally hear them. Because no matter how deep darkness runs, dawn always finds a way to rise. Every empire believes it is immortal until the people remind it of time. And time, though patient, never forgets its debts. Paul Biya's story is not just about a man. It's about what happens when power forgets its purpose. When leadership becomes possession. When thrones turn into cages. And when silence, instead of peace, becomes the national anthem. In Yaoundé, the capital still glitters at night. Lights flicker over old monuments. And the streets tell stories in quiet echoes. Old men sit in bars, whispering the same sentence they've whispered for decades. We've seen everything, but nothing has changed. Young men scroll through their phones, seeing leaders half their president's age running nations twice as developed. They laugh not out of joy, but disbelief. Some flee France, Canada, America. Anywhere but home. Because to them, Cameroon has become a place where dreams grow old before they begin. And yet there are those who stay. Teachers, farmers, artists, small business owners. Fighting not with guns, but with endurance. Because sometimes survival itself is protest. They build, they teach, they create. They raise children to believe in a tomorrow their parents never saw. And in those small acts of defiance, the nation breathes again. Power fears one thing more than rebellion: hope. Because hope spreads faster than fear. And when people start believing again, control begins to crumble. France may still play its quiet games. Foreign interests may still whisper in corridors. But the real change, the kind that no bullet or ballot can stop, starts when people decide they've had enough. One day, the world will wake up to breaking news. Cameroon is free, not because someone gave them permission, but because a generation stood up and said, "This story ends with us." And when that day comes, the air will feel different. The same streets that once echoed with silence will roar with voices unafraid. Children will learn the names of heroes who didn't rule, but resisted. The flag will rise again, not as a relic, but as a reminder that even after endless nights, morning still belongs to the people. The cameras will try to capture it. The world will try to explain it. But only Cameroonians will understand the feeling. That deep exhale after 40 years of holding your breath. Paul Biya will be remembered, not just as the man who stayed too long, but as the symbol that forced a nation to rediscover its courage. Because sometimes, history needs villains to make heroes rise. So here's to Cameroon, to the land that refused to die, to the people who chose patience instead of war, and to the dawn that no system could stop. Every story has an ending. Every ruler meets his sunset. And when the dust settles, the voice of the people will remain, louder than fear, stronger than power, forever awake. Can a country move forward when its leader is stuck in the past? Do you think the people chose this reality, or was it chosen for them? After decades of one man's rule, what do you think Cameroon will look like when he's finally gone? Will freedom ever return, or has the system learned to survive without it? Paul Biya's story has not yet come to an end. It continues. Follow us on this journey of true freedom for Cameroon.